Hi, everybody. Marcel here again with another episode of Everyday Leadership. I have a really interesting guest for you today. We're going to be talking about a subject that, to be honest, is like so far out of my comfort zone. It is something that through her I learned to address a little bit more, and actually came to discover some of my inhibitions and restrictions that I have as a coach and as a person. And so I really wanted to bring her on the show and kind of share with you the concept around primal dance and stepping out of your comfort zone and thinking out of the box and all of that kind of stuff. And so today I'm going to bring in Beatriz Garcia, and so she specializes in primal dance, but on top of that, she has an amazing story to tell with regards to her life and her priorities and her courage in terms of how she lives life. So I'm going to bring her in right now. So I'm just going to change screen here so everybody can see. There we go. All right. And Beatrice, you are now live with our audience. Say hi to the audience.
Hi everybody. I'm Beatriz Garcia. Nice to be you. I feel super honored to be here to be your guest today.
Yeah, and we are so happy to have you on this show as well. And I feel so privileged to be able to share kind of your experience, your story with the audience. And one way that I like to start off these conversations, right, is of course my audience knows me, but my audience might not know you. So before we kind of get started, feel free to kind of just tell us a little bit about your story, where you're from first of all, and how you ended up with kind of being involved with primal dance and all of that. What's the story behind that?
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm from Mexico, so you will notice in my accent that my English is not my first language. I'm from the north of Mexico, from Sonora. I studied business administration. Most of my journey as a professional was in this corporate world from the when I was 21 till I was around 40. I was just dedicating finance and administration. I was a general manager in one company. I was working in another company as an administrative planning manager. And then one day I got sick. I had alopecia. I got sick out of stress, and I decided to go to live in India. So I lived in India for 2 years. After that, my corporate life was in a very nice. It was very nice in that moment, and I really wanted to become a CEO. So when I got sick and I saw the injection coming to my head, I said I won't be the CEO of any company. I want to be the CEO of my life. So I went to live in India, and after that, when I went back to Mexico, when I came back, because right now I'm in Mexico, I start learning about different methodologies. And one day I found out that coaching exists, and I started doing my first coaching certification was in Newfield in Colombia in 2008, 2009. And from then, I danced since I was 2, 3 years old with my parents. And one of the classes in that certification was about somatics, about the body. And I was super involved in that, and I really wanted to go deeper. So I went to another course of body and movement with one of my teachers, amazing teacher. And one of the practices there was primal dance. And when I practiced primal dance, I was like, what is this? So I went to look information, and I did the certification also as a primal dance teacher. I started in 2012, and I certified as a primal dance teacher and coach also, a transpersonal coach in 2014. And since then, every time that I have the opportunity to work with any company, with any client, and also with the program that I'm working in Singapore, I bring primal dance to my students, and it's something that I really love. So in a few words, I can tell you what has been my journey since I was born.
Yeah, it's incredible. So you lived in India for 2 years, you say, right? And when was that in your life? Because that must have been pretty transformational
already, right?
It was really, it was my life. I can tell you right now, it's one life before India and another one after India. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
a yoga teacher. I certify in India, but when I went to live in India, it was immediately after I was working in this multinational company in Europe. So I had all my background as a business administrator, and I love the corporate world. And now I have the opportunity to work with the corporate people because I used to live in that world.
Yeah.
However, when I was in India, I discovered things of myself that I was not able to see when I was
Hmm.
in my other way of being, my other way of doing. So yeah, it was a threshold that I crossed once I was in India.
Yeah. And what was it, if I may ask, right? What was it that drove you to choose India at that time?
It's a very nice question because that answer it's something that involves my whole life.
Okay.
I grew up in the north of Mexico,
Uh-huh.
and the city that I grew up in, Mexicali, it's in the borderline with California, and it's a lot of Chinese people living there, a lot of Chinese
Okay.
people. And
Uh-huh.
when I was 6 years old, because the Chinese people that want to go to California, they have to cross from Mexico, right? So there's so many in that city that they cannot cross, so they stay there.
Uh-huh.
So when the teacher in the first year of elementary school said, "We, the Christians, go to heaven when we die," and I raised my hand and I say, "Where the Chinese go?" And she didn't have an answer for me. And then I grew up and I keep asking, where the Chinese go? It's just we, the Christians, because Mexico is or used to be, I don't know if it is or used to be super Catholic country, and no other religions are present. But I was concerned with that. So when I did my MBA, one of the classes, I start studying something. I have to choose one country, and I choose India. And when I saw the geopolitics and everything and all that diversity and that the all the religions were going to be present there, I said, one day I will go to India and I will live there because they will know where the Chinese go. So that was
Ah.
that's what I choose India. It was something that was in my blood, in my soul for
Yeah.
many years. And when I went there, I was like, oh my God. And then now working in Singapore, when I just every time that I arrive in the at the airport, it like I see the Indians and Chinese people and Malay people, and it's like that diversity is something that oh my God, I love when I arrive and see the whole world is at the airport. So it's
Yeah.
amazing for me.
It's that's actually really interesting because it reminds me of myself when I was a kid. I kind of had a similar experience, and maybe that's maybe one of the characteristics of becoming coaches, right? Is that we have a tendency to rightfully or wrongfully, I don't know, but we have a tendency to look at the world differently, right?
Mm.
And I remember when I was a kid, I actually kind of got selected to go into kind of a higher level school, a higher performing school, and it happened to be a Catholic school. And one of the classes in the curriculum was Bible studies. And it was actually my mom who said to me, "So you're taking Bible studies, but what makes you believe that the Bible is the only scripture out there, right? That dictates kind of realities, right? It's like if you're
Hmm.
going to study one, you should be studying multiple." And so she actually got me a copy of the Quran, and she got me a copy of the I Ching.
Wow.
And yeah, and you're talking about, I mean, this is the late 1970s, right? So I mean, for mom to kind of, to be that progressive was pretty powerful. But I still remember that, she says, if you really want to make, kind of a good distinction, right? In terms of religion, you know, read more, broaden that horizon, broaden your thinking.
Yes.
And of course, my mom was one of those people. I think back in those days, everybody probably thought she was nuts, right? But how right she was back then. She was just very, very forward thinking, right? And very, very broad in her own kind of. She's from South Africa originally. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, and so I think there is that some of us, I think, have that natural propensity, right, to just be able to ask that question, to be able to kind of say, hey, why aren't these things in this box? Why is there not something outside of it, right? And did that show up in kind of other places in your life as well when you were a kid growing up? Did you have that kind of same thinking about life and other things, or was it just specifically that one thing?
No. I think that my whole life I have been super improve diversity of everything. I don't. I didn't know I was going to become a coach. I wanted to be a CEO in my life. I wanted to be as my father. My father was a manager in one of the banks in the north of Mexico, and I wanted to be like him. So this thing of coaching, it was not in but my friends that were with me in high school, they say that I was coaching them when we were in high school, that I was always with this, why we have to think in this way? We can also think in this way. Let's do something more. Let's explore and expand ourselves. So I think that it's all the human beings, we have that capacity, and that's what Primal Dance is also helping us, that how we can expand our alternatives and possibilities. As you said at the beginning, when we recognize what are our limitations and what is our comfort zones and what is the zone that I have not visited, because we have a preconception idea, so someone told us. I think since I was very, 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 very young, actually I used to play with this kind of globe that was in my house, I was like the whole world was there, and I was spinning the wall and I was putting my finger and I was like, okay, that is a country I have to visit when I grow up. And I think I have been doing pretty good because I travel a lot. That game that I used to play is the life that I'm living now. And I think that is also a lot of things that I remember that my father, when he said, you cannot go to the party. And I was like, why not? Because I'm your father. That is not enough reason. You have to explain me. So those kind of things were always present in different momentums of my life, that one thing is not enough. I have to see the other side. I have to see what is above, where I see the 360, something that is for me, that, okay, but why? So this one thing is not something that goes with me. And I think that most of the people don't go with one thing. That's my belief.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what I find really interesting about this is you seem to be, kind of that kind of person who loves to explore, right? You're an explorer, right? Where and not everybody on this planet is born to be an explorer, right? But I think think about the great explorers of the past, right? I think every single one of them was born with this talent, right? Which is to want to see what else is out there and to be able to explore. You've just kind of explored in multiple dimensions, right? And which is really, really fascinating how you've not only taken your exploration forward in terms of moving outward into the world, but you've also you're kind of exploring yourself, right? Kind of more deeply, and through Primal Dance, you've also kind of explored yourself in multiple dimensions, right? Which is extremely powerful. If I may ask, right? This just kind of as I'm talking, this is kind of popping in my head, right? What are some of the insights for you, right? As you were going through your own life journey and you were kind of exploring yourself, kind of in these multiple levels and dimensions in this way. What are some of the kind of like major takeaways for you that you kind of walked away with going, this is a light bulb moment for me?
Oof, many. But I think that the more I flow with the flow of the life, the more the life has shown me a different alternative that I was not considering. And I think that the more I grow, I'm also more open to receive what the life and the world and the people around me is telling me. It's like I'm going to be 52 next coming Monday, and I mean on September 7th, and I think that I was controlling much more when I was 30, 35, that I thought that the outcome should be in one way. And I feel more free now. It's like something that my freedom is increasing when I'm letting the things and the alternatives and the circumstances that we are living now and the things that we are going through as a humanity. I'm more in peace with that. So my aha moments is that the less I try to control, the more I receive and more satisfaction I can get out of. So it's something that I want to dance with a life. I want to dance with myself. I want to dance because the dance is like this company that you can give to another person. It's like a coaching conversation. Coaching conversation is a dance also. We are in a dance floor of possibilities. And the more we are attuned in the same rhythm, with the same piece, with the same in the same pace, it's like something that it's gonna create something that is much better than what I can think. If I control and I say, I will have this, I will have that, at the end, it's not that nice. It's not flowing with all the energy that it's creating. So that is one of the things that every time I discover something that I didn't know, every time that I learn something that I was not in my previous knowledge, it's, and I think that I'm a person that constantly I'm like awesome with something, like that capacity of a child that is still in me that I want to keep feeding, that I want to stay there, because sometimes I say to myself that I'm too old to be that innocent in certain things. But I like to be that innocent because then so many small things I can really enjoy, like, oh my God, like I open my eyes and I feel like it's something inside of my heart that I said, it's nice that in that thing I have not grown enough to be serious. So those two are with me since I was born, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that it kind of reminds me a little bit too of myself. It was actually really interesting. I was doing a group session with some coaches a little while ago, and we were actually talking about kind of how when we were children, right, we looked at the world different, right, and we looked at how we learned differently as well, right, as where today as adults we have this preconceived notion of how we should be behaving or how we should be being, right, and an interesting thing came out of it. I kind of did a mindfulness session, kind of a bit of a regression exercise with them, where they got to go back to being childlike, right, where they kind of just explore themselves, and I joined in on this exercise, and it was a fluke thing. It was completely by chance. I'd never done something like that before myself, and a lot of it was actually inspired from the work that I'd kind of seen by you, and kind of being able to kind of think out of the box and say, hey, let's just explore, let's just go somewhere, right? And as I was going back into my childhood, I recognized that I was a very different type of person when I was a child, in terms of I didn't take life so seriously, right, as a kid, and I was very physical, right, in terms of how I wanted to experience the world. And as I've grown up, right, it's grown up as they call it, as I've grown older, right, and more experienced, that's changed. And so a big question for me as I was in that session was I was running the session, I was asking this question to myself, and a big question that was coming up to me is what is it about me that's made that change? Right, and would it be good for me to revisit that part, right, and I remember doing one of your sessions, and and in that kind of primal dance state, and feeling very restricted, right, feeling very like I'm a grown up, I need to know what's going on, and so I've kind of become stuck as an adult, in terms of being stuck in what I need to know, versus can I just be, can I just explore, can I just have fun, can I be that childlike kid again, right, without having to know, right, and so that was, I felt that was just kind of a really interesting experience. And I don't know if it's me being in that similar age group. Maybe a lot of people in our age group actually after a while start kind of saying, hey, listen, I don't give an F anymore, right? I don't care what people think about me. I don't care about, I'm just gonna live. I don't know, but for me it's pretty profound. And I find myself being in that stage where when I was in my 30s, I was very similar, right? It's like there was a certain kind of perception of a way of like how we thought we would have to be, right? A certain way of how we would have to behave in order to be deemed kind of functioning and successful in society, right? Which is really interesting. It's also very liberating, right? If we can free ourselves from a lot of those inhibitions and just actually give ourselves permission to just explore ourselves in different ways, right? So yeah, absolutely. So I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. Now, with regards to your work, right? So you now work with a lot of corporates, and I'm assuming that a lot of the corporates, when they're doing things like Primal Dance and stuff like that, they probably have a lot of the similar feelings and experiences that I had, as well, right? So let's for the audience that might not know what Primal Dance is about, right? Let's kind of break that down to kind of say, hey, what is Primal Dance really, and then what is that experience like, right? So I think that would be a good thing.
Yes. And for what you are saying of what was your experience, you will have the chance to do it again in the second conference. So, and then I will invite you to do, because let me answer that part that you said, and then I will explain, and I will make the answer and the question, the answer that I want to give, and I want to answer your question.
Sure.
It's very, very common that when we don't know and we have the opportunity to explore something that is out of our control area, sometimes we don't take it. My meditation teacher, Goenka in Vipassana, he said that if you're having rice pudding and the rice pudding has raisins and you don't like them, you don't have to throw away the whole thing. You can take away the little thing that you don't like and eat everything else. So sometimes we don't go through this kind of a global holotropic. Holotropic means to get connected with the whole, right? Like with the universe, because we are universal energy in a human body. So that's one of the principles of Primal Dance, that everything that exists is in me. The energy of the lake, the energy of the tree, the energy of the flower, the energy of the volcano also. It doesn't mean that we will become something super nice and soft and plain and like that, like the lake that is not moving at all. It means that we have everything, and we need to learn how to come in and out of those energies, in and out of those emotions, in and out of everything in life. So it's how to be the big bang inside of us, and how to be everything, and understand that we can explore those energies. And all of us as a human beings are created with all the capacities to become a very big tree, enormous, with all the potential and transformation inside of us. But sometimes in our life, our parents, our teachers, the people that we give the power, they cut a little bit of us, and we allow them. There's not that we are not involved in this decision-making process. In a way, we give the power and we allow them. So we, at the end, we are small bonsais instead of this big tree. So Primal Dance is a system created by Daniel Taropio. He's an Argentinian psychologist from Argentina. And this system is created to awaken, attune our healing and creative energy from a molecular way, on a molecular level, in a very, very deep in our biology. It's not something that is just dancing. It's not choreographic. It's something that we explore our capacities, expand our capacities. Primal Dance is not something that we will go to learn something that we don't know. Primal Dance is an exploration that will help us to remember and recognize our original primal nature. All of us have that, because Primal Dance will work in our different capacities: capacity of trust, capacity of pleasure and enjoyment, capacity of sensibility and personal power, capacity of affection, how to give and receive, capacity of communication, capacity of intuition, and capacity of transcendence. So through Primal Dance, we can discover and remember. It's not something to learn. It's that I didn't know. No, I have it inside, but I have not explored it yet. So it's a very powerful experience that there are so many professional, certified primal dance teachers around the world now. The thing is that most of them are in the Latin or Hispano countries. So in Spain, and there are some in US, and of course there are many that speak English. So now that we can do, I have an experiencing now during the pandemic, primal dances by Zoom, and they are working super good. So we can get to more people. And I was just telling you that in order to celebrate my birthday, I want to give this so I can tell you after for your friends and audience. But the thing is that it's something that I really recommend that every single human being, at least once in their lifetime, go and explore these kind of experiences that will open up and will take away all the blockages that we have in our body. Because as I said, sometimes for what we listen from our elders, we get ideas and we don't explore because my mom told me I'm not good for this. And my grandpa used to say I'm not good for this and this is not what the family is doing. And nowadays, the world needs something different. We are going to a different paradigm shift in this moment. The world is asking us a very, very different game. We need to put a different rule in this game. So it's how we will play this game and how we will connect with ourselves in order to explore and expand our maximum capacity. And all of us are leaders. All of us are leading our lives. You don't have to be a CEO to be a leader. You just need to lead your life. So in summary, this is primal dance in those 7 capacities.
Yeah, that beautifully said. I wholeheartedly agree. One of the reasons why I call the show Everyday Leadership is because it's for the everyday person. And there's leadership is not something you're hired into and paid for. Every single one of us is a leader in some capacity. And in some silo in our lives, right? And there are silos in our lives where we have to be leaders, but there are also silos in our lives where we have to be able to be followers, right? Where and be able to give that permission, right? To allow ourselves to be a follower, while at some points also stepping up and being a leader. And I think that's such an important part of the everyday leadership concept, right? Is that we can apply that in that way, and having that flexibility, right? To be able to do that does require a different state, right? And I'm not going to say a state of mind because it's also a state of body, right? I know in myself when I get fixed in my thinking, and I have my thoughts very often about what's right or what's wrong. And when I get fixed in my thinking, I also feel that my body, tensing up as well. And when I'm resistant to an idea, a thought, or a proposal, my wife will wholeheartedly agree with this. My wife is she won't be watching. She's sleeping, which is all I can say. But she's actually a very happy-go-lucky person, and she's very kind of very spontaneous, and kind of loves to do things spontaneously. And I'm not that spontaneous as a person, and so when she says, she often suggests that we do something totally that I think is outrageous at that moment in time, just crazy, childlike, right? Let's just do something, and I'm like no, right? And it's really interesting how I sense that in myself, that resistance, right, to being open. So one thing that I actually told my wife is I made a promise to her, is that kind of a declaration that from now on I'm not going to just say by default say no, that I'm actually going to kind of open myself and explore that level of spontaneity that is actually something that is not very comfortable within me, right? Because it is so important. And having that flexibility. Yeah, but it's also a large part of, again, kind of just learning like, through primal, just experiencing that. I experienced that once, and just coming to these total realizations through that, right? Let me tell
you something very nice, because something that I relate with this conversation that we're having, that I'm very, very grateful with you, and we have not touched that topic. But for the audience and for whoever will listen this after, I met you when you were my teacher in my health and wellness coaching certification in Singapore. And the class that you gave us in transtheoretical model is something that I apply every single day because I'm always thinking in my pre-contemplation, am I in contemplation, am I in determination, am I in action, am I in maintenance? So the 5 stages of change that you teach me, it's something that you can also apply with this experience that you are going through, because it's something that it was a pre-contemplate. You never thought you were going to do this kind of experience. But once you went there and you are contemplating and you are seeing that, oh my God, I'm seeing all my restrictions and all my I cannot get out of my comfort zone. But now I'm doing this determination that from now on I will go through. So I think I learned very well your teaching.
Yeah,
so now you can apply that.
Absolutely. And I think what I'm kind of learning, right? Is one of by the way, one of my default comfort zones is I like to be a teacher, but I'm not necessarily that comfortable being a student, right? So I need to in my life I need to be more of a student than I need to be a teacher. And that's kind of one of the goals that I'm setting out for myself. For other people it's different. It's just that how I love being in front of groups, and I love being, but I also love preaching, and that's something that I understand that I need to do less of, and do more learning and do more, being more open. So and so for me that's really helpful. But being in, one of the challenges, right? And I think, and I'm sure that a lot of your clients, right, people who are in the corporate world, right, I can see a lot of people getting caught in that same type of frame, because whether it's me wanting to be kind of in my comfort zone as being a teacher, there are also people who are in their comfort zone being, the leader who's the top of a pyramid, right? Who has become comfortable, right, being listened to simply because he was hired into a position, right? Rather than being listened to because he earned that, or he or she earned that right, and the ability to flow, right, from being a leader one moment to being a follower the other, to be able to kind of abstain that power, right, and to be able to just say, guys, you got this, right? Let me follow. That's a completely different skill set, and I think some of us, right? I know it's in me. There's a tremendous amount of resistance, right? Moving from one state to another, right? I have the capacity to be in a learning state, but it takes a lot of effort for me to get from being in that kind of like, no, this is my, this kind of like, this is my image. This is my comfort zone. This is where just being the student, being the learner, and getting myself from there from one state to another costs a lot of work, right? And so I find that just like with everything else, it's just practice, right? And so the more I practice it, the better I get at it, right? And I think that's one thing that I learned from this experience was it kind of helps you shake the tree, right, in a different way, and it helps you move easier from that one state to another, right? So that there is that less resistance to be able to explore yourself in a different way, right? So maybe a great way of kind of articulating is that, as you're thinking about, kind of the trans-theoretical model, is that there are so many aspects of our lives where we are in a state of pre-contemplation, right? Where we're not thinking about it, where we lack the awareness. Exactly. Where we're completely blind, right? Because we can't see everything. And the moment that we believe of ourselves that this is what it is, right? We close ourselves and we start building blinders. We start making blinders that kind of keep us in that state of pre-contemplation, right? And in this area of like, I don't have to explore here. I have the answers. I know what I'm doing. Rather than, am I taking time for myself? Am I actually treating myself, right, with the opportunity to explore myself different, because it is a treat, right? It is something that we all deserve, is to be able to explore ourselves in different ways. And when we when we take ourselves too seriously, when we take our roles as leaders too seriously, and we, you know, and we don't give ourselves permission to kind of clown around a little bit with other aspects of ourselves where we're not so strong, we actually miss out. Right. That's one thing that I'm learning from all of this, is that if I keep kind of trying to be that kind of leader in my industry and being that teacher and, you know, kind of the preacher, and, you know, I actually miss out, right, on a lot of very empowering things, because I'm not open anymore. And so I could see that potentially happening with kind of, you know, with corporates as well, right? And learning.
I tell you, Well, so finish. Sorry. I want to tell you about the corporate experience.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm going into. So yeah, go for it.
The thing is that, as you said to your audience, you have explored this Primal Dance once, right? Just once. And yeah, Primal Dance once is also good. It's not that you have to explore Primal Dance many times. It's better, much better. So if you are close to any teacher, it's amazing that you can do it more. But I tell you what happened with the corporate people when they work together. It's much easier for me as a facilitator. Why? Because the whole experience, we are putting it in the service of whatever the company is going through. So I work with a company in India, and actually also Indian people are more, this is something like the cultural discourse also intervene in the somatic experiences, because it's not the same to work with a group of people that are from all over the world and they don't know each other at the time that you were practicing, even though you were in your house. The background and all the things that I have to put as introduction of the experience, it has to be thinking in that there was people from Japan, from England, from London, from this, from there, from America. It was like a mixed salad of the world. But when I work in a company, that they work together, that they know each other, that they know what is the things that they are going through and what are the problems that they want to fix, and how, if they really find out the way to transform and to potentialize all the aptitudes and all the qualities that they have as a human beings within the team, the conversation before it's focused in that. So we don't do a primal dance. I mean, we do primal dance, but the thing is that we need to find out, and I would love to invite you, where we can organize one corporate style with some of your classmates now, or some of our colleagues in Singapore, that how to talk about, if I trust in myself, if I take away the blockages that I may have in my trust capacity, I will trust in my colleagues and we will make a better work. If I know how to enjoy when we have a great result and say, guys, we made it. Yes. Sometimes we get all the results and we don't have time. We are so in a hurry that we don't have time to celebrate the small things. And the people get, like, I was working 1 month and my boss not even told me it was good. And they just need very good, very good. You know, Marcel, you did it. Great. That's it. We need to create that space of celebration and enjoyment and see how so if I know how to enjoy myself, I will be able to open up the space to enjoy and celebrate with others. Then the third capacity of personal power. If I know what I'm good for, if I understand what is my connection with my sensibility and what is my assets, what is the best thing of me, I will start recognizing what is the best of you. And I will not take the work that I don't need to do. I will ask you for help. And then in affection, if I know how to give feedback, and if I know how to receive all the gifts that you give me within the company, and I keep that, I extrapolate that we are working in a corporate space to whatever I'm doing with my family, my kids, my partner, I will really find out that, oh my God, my blockage of receiving is coming from when my grandpa told me something about my cousin that he was better than me, and I closed myself. So we will remove that. And then if I open up my heart, I will be able to communicate in a better way. So if I communicate and I'm creative and I use my intelligence to say what I have to say, I will see beyond my limits. I will see that the company, we are one team, and that the world, we are one company, that we can be together just one, that we need to start working as a whole thing without competition or without dumping, trying to be like more focused in how to create and collaborate relationships. And if I do that, I will leave the footprints that I need to leave in this world, and I will go to transcendence capacity. So primal dance is an experience that we can download in our body. And when you say I restrict myself, maybe in the corporate it's happening, yes. Why? Because instead of sometimes to open up the space to flow with our inner energy, to go and recognize our blockages. If you don't see the blockage, you will never be able to remove it. So in order to take away things, we need to see it. We need to bring to the surface the things that we don't need anymore in our body, because whatever is in our body is in our language, and what is in our language is in our thought, and everything is interrelated. Sometimes everything is started with a thought, and then we feel, and then this predisposition for action, and we do the things according to that, but we do it with the body. And if we take away the things from the body and we expand our heart and we open up ourselves to live fully, then we will be giving permission to the people that is around us to live fully also.
Beautifully said, and I think what you just said, we should just put that in a little box as a recording and give that to every single CEO out there, because ultimately what you just said, right, is if you want different results, right, you need to be prepared to do things differently, and if you're not prepared to step out of that comfort zone, right. You know, the comfort of what you're comfortable with, and then you're not prepared to step out of that, you're not really exploring things differently, right? You're just exploring things that you're comfortable with, right? You know, so I wholeheartedly agree with that, and maybe, you know, that's something that every CEO out there, listen to this, right? So, and hire this lady, right? You know, so this is so important. You know, it's such an important message that you bring over. We are actually, believe it or not, we're at the top of the episode already. So much information that you're sharing, Beatriz. It's incredible. I love this conversation. You know, so
thank you for the invitation.
Oh yeah, no worries. Before we close off, right? What would be the best way? Let's say that somebody's listening to this, right, and they kind of go, oh man, I want to hire Beatriz. I want to get her in. I want her to do some work. What would be the best way to get in touch with you?
I can give you my email and my WhatsApp. The best, because I have Instagram. Instagram is arroba at ATMA and then my name. So I can give you everything. I can write it down and I can send it to you by WhatsApp. But I don't have any problem that anyone that wants to contact me and want to find out in which country we have different primal dance teachers that can help. I can guide you guys. I mean, whoever is listening this in any country, we can find out. And Marcel, as I said, to celebrate my birthday, I want to give free. It means it's not free of charge. It's voluntary donation, but not for me. I want to help the people that is going through this pandemic with situations that they cannot afford. So one of the things that I will start doing is open primal dances, and whoever wants to donate at the end, according to their circumstance and their possibilities, they are welcome to do it. So I would use that to help people. Or like this movie that is like, I don't remember the name in English, but it's how when you do something for 3 people.
Yeah.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if somebody comes to my dances, that I will do many, I will start doing it next week in English and Spanish, and I can share with you the schedule. If somebody doesn't want to donate in my PayPal, they can donate in any place. So I want to contribute, because I think that this is a medicine. Primal dance is a medicine that every single human being should have at least once. So I will give you my contact details, but email, Instagram and WhatsApp, you can give to the world, because I do really want to contribute, if I can, with anyone that is listening to us and is interested in looking for exploration. Okay?
So what I'll do is, because this is going to be on YouTube as well. So for anybody who is subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll actually put in the comment box underneath the video. I will put Beatriz's contact details. her Instagram tag. So just reach out to Beatriz, and I'll do this on LinkedIn, Facebook, and stuff like that as well. So that then if you want to take part in these, I highly recommend it to anybody. Is do these primal because it is as far as you're going to get out of the box as you can imagine. I promise you that. But what you're going to feel afterwards is really incredible. I highly recommend it. So Beatriz, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was so much fun having you. And boy, you got an awesome story to tell. So that's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are most
welcome.
Thank you
very much, Marcel, for this invitation.
Yeah, no problem. And of course to the audience, thank you so much for watching and listening. And if you have any questions or anything like that, just shoot me a message and I can help you get in touch with Beatriz or just reach out to Beatriz through the comment box. It's all good. We'll make sure that the message gets through. So I'm gonna start logging off now. So thank you
very much, audience, for coming today. Again, another episode of Everyday Leadership. Next week we have another great episode with somebody who specializes in motivation. So we're going to do an episode on motivation next week, which I highly recommend coming. You'll get the details of that as they all come. His name is Pete Cohen. Pete is an absolute firecracker when it comes down to motivation. This guy's incredible, right? And I've known Pete for about 10 years, so it'll be fun catching up with Pete as well. So I want to thank you so much again for coming. I'll see you at the next episode next time around. And remember, if you want to rewatch this, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can download the episodes from there or watch them whenever you want. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I'll see you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.